Hello, Shrikant. It's a real honor to have you with us today. Shrikant, you are at the forefront of AI innovation globally. And as we are launching our new venture, Investigen.ai, your guidance would mean a lot to us.
Thank you, Vikash. Great to be here.
So, coming directly to the questions, Shrikant, every industry believe and they accept that tsunami of AI is coming. What is the pace at which the industries are getting reshaped by AI, and how important it is at this point of time for the industry to start adopting it very fast?
See, AI is a general purpose technology. It's horizontal in its approach. And fundamentally, what we're doing is AI is helping use information to help you predict and make decisions better. Now, which industries are places where people make decisions using data or make business decisions in general? Every industry. Specifically, if you think of financial service industry, it's highly cognitive and repetitive in nature. And really, industries where there are cognitive, repetitive processes are the places where AI is reshaping much faster than any other industry. If you think of manufacturing or making things or moving things, physical things, there you'll see AI is still a little slower. So any industry where information processing is really the key aspect of the way they deliver value, like financial services. The basic value comes from information processing to understand risk, understand customers, understand investments, and then make decisions. So these are the places where if you don't adopt AI, you're absolutely not going to be able to beat someone else who's using AI. So that's where I see the maximum amount of need for adoption.
So what is the pace at which the AI is approaching us? And people say that it's like a tsunami. If you don't use it, you will get drowned. And if you use it, it could be a fun. You could surf on the tide and all. So is the situation that grave according to you?
In case of a tsunami, even if you use it, you're going to get drowned. Hopefully it's not a tsunami. It's definitely a big tidal wave, no doubt about that. And to the extent that you resist it, it will actually hurt you. That's for sure. But how can you leverage it? How can you harness it for the best use? So I would say that look at all the decisions inside your companies. And can information help you make better decisions in those? The answer is absolutely yes. So if you don't use it, you will be beaten by a company that's using that information to make better decisions. And you asked about the pace of change. Let me give you some statistics. Just in the last 3 to 4 weeks, several companies have made some announcements in terms of their usage. 800 million weekly active users for ChatGPT. 800 million, which means 1 in 10 people on the planet. Then Google said that 1.5 billion AI overviews every month. So when you do a Google search, now they give you an AI overview of results. 1.5 billion people are using it every month. Wow. Then Microsoft came and said they're processing 100 trillion tokens for the Jan-Feb-March quarter. Of that, 50 trillion tokens were processed in the March quarter alone. So what's a token? Token, think of it as 0.75 of a word. So it means that 75 trillion words have been processed, and 50 of those have been processed in the March month alone. And I was very impressed with this stat. It turns out that Google is working at 10x of that, 500 trillion tokens every month. So what you're seeing is a massive adoption of AI for various purposes, mostly by consumers. There is a big gap between consumer use of AI to enterprise use of AI and enterprise performance. That's where really the big gap exists. How do we translate this AI excitement and AI progress, which is absolutely amazing, into enterprise performance? Now, last point on this is that AI progress, if you just look at from the point of view of the results from these models and accuracy and so on, you're seeing big improvement through what are called as scaling laws. Essentially, scaling laws say that as data multiplies, as computational horsepower multiplies, and you make improvements in the techniques for using AI, this multiplicative effect will give you massive increase in accuracy and reduction in error. So you're seeing steady progress towards that. So Fractal built a model called Fathom R1 14 billion parameter model,
yes,
which we open sourced last month.
I've used it.
Great. So there what we saw was that it took the IIT JEE 2025 advanced exam and it got every single question right in maths. Okay. So what it tells you is that these AI models are not only good at giving you good output, writing good poems or writing good paragraphs and things like that, but they're good at thinking, reasoning, planning, and even action. And that's why it is important that companies start to take note of it. Don't think about the AI you saw 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and when you thought, okay, it's not good enough. It's become a lot better and it's getting better much faster.
So we'll restrict our conversation to some extent to our industry, where the two important stakeholders that we deal with are mutual fund distributors and asset management companies. So the pace at which AI is evolving and number of jobs which they have started taking up, and apart from personal use, if you talk about the enterprise use, what is the risk of delaying the adoption of AI across functions by these particular stakeholders?
The biggest risk of not using AI is obsolescence or being outcompeted by other people. Because AI it's like, think of the 1970s and 80s. There were three people who were called the ABC of tennis. Amrit Raj, which was Vijay Amrit Raj, Borg and Jimmy Connors. They were using wooden rackets. But in the 80s, you start getting those graphite rackets and much better quality of titanium and other kinds of metals which are coming into the rackets, which are lighter, much higher performance. Now, if I'm using the wooden rackets to play any player in the 80s, there's no chance that Amrit Raj or Borg or Connors, anyone could beat anyone in the 80s era at all. Because fundamentally, their equipment is better. So, why would you want to take your 70s style racket, wooden racket, to an 80s style game? The same thing with AI. If you don't use AI, you're going to lose every single battle out there. It's a weapon that you must use. And how will you lose? Number one, revenue growth. Right? If you can personalize better, if you can sell better, your revenue growth will be faster than your competition. And if you don't, your revenue growth will be slower. Second, your accuracy. Right? Let's say whether it is about supply chain accuracy, this may have cost implications, which means that your cost will be bloated, your productivity will be lower compared to your competition. Again, that doesn't keep you in a good place. Building new products. If you don't use that, if you don't bring that accuracy in building products or financial products, for example, let's say you want to invest and you don't use AI and the algorithms you have for investing, your algorithms are going to underperform the market or underperform other funds. You lose out there too. So in every single way, you will lose out and basically you will be irrelevant and obsolescent. So it's important that you start experimenting with these, at least at the very beginning, and see in which aspects of it works for you, and then turbocharge the places where it works and keep going there.
So, Shrikant, I keep on interacting with lots of people. I come across lots of mutual fund distributors and banks and all, but still there are lots of fear about the use of AI. So, according to you, if they have to start adopting AI from the scratch and start using it for personal use without requirement of a huge budget and a huge team, how should they start the journey of AI adoption?
I would say the very first thing is to get yourself convinced that this thing really works, right? And I'm actually very thankful to OpenAI and the makers of ChatGPT, because what they have done is they've given you an incredible demonstration of how cool AI could be, right? Go to ChatGPT and spend an hour or two and convince yourself that this magic is quite real, right? Whether it's about saying, hey, this is my medical data, medical reports, and tell me what's going on with my health, and therefore give me some advice, or it's about writing an essay or your next LinkedIn post, or it is about something altogether, creating music or whatever. In each of these, you can see that AI is incredibly good. It understands you, meets you where you are, has a knowledge of the world, and then can help you get better in life. Once you convince yourself that this is magic and this magic is real, then you have to say, okay, what does it mean for me? I would say go and look at the places where there is maximum, what I call as the juice, right? Where things are inefficient or you feel like you're significantly worse than competition. And start looking at those areas and say, hey, what if in these places I used AI to get slightly better. It could be some decisions. Let's say you feel like somebody else is outselling you. Maybe they're personalizing their messaging so much better than you. Maybe their email open rate is 10 times better than yours. Why is that? Because they have used AI to change the subject line, the content. They used AI to really personalize the messaging in such a way that people feel like clicking that and then going somewhere and doing something with you. So once you start seeing the places where you are behind and where you absolutely need to improve, you'll start to identify areas where you must go and experiment. Don't have to spend too much money. Today, the cost of using AI has dropped precipitously. And even the quality of talent that is required to just use AI, not to produce AI, you need fantastic talent. But to use AI, any one of us can use AI. So just start implementing that. Couple of smart kids, get them to see if they can build some AI pipelines in your organization, and you'll start to get some very good results. Even the AI infused products, there's a whole new set of AI products coming up, which I call as the software 2.0 or products, which are natively have AI embedded into everything. They have been imagined with AI in it, a bit like the product you're building. So, embrace these kinds of products, and they're not very expensive to use. They're relatively inexpensive. So, bring some of those tools and start playing around with them. And once you get conviction,
Great,
you can double down.
So you talked about personalization, and I see the behavior of the customer, even the consumers, be it FMCG consumer or be it a customer investor in our business, they are not demanding lots of personalization and frequent communication. So how is LLM and generative AI can drive hyper personalization at scale?
So firstly, when you ask someone, do you need personalization? They may say, I don't really care. Maybe it's not such a big deal. Actually, we say that because we don't realize how much personalization we're already experiencing. I'll give you a little thought experiment. Go to YouTube, okay? And you'll see the first few tiles. They're all familiar videos. These are things that you're already watching. So it feels pretty good to you. Now, do you know how many videos get uploaded every day on YouTube? Maybe billions.
Billions, yeah.
Of those hundreds of billions of videos out there, somehow YouTube has figured out that these are the top 5-6 videos that should be in your feed. It's a very hard problem. It's an extremely challenging AI problem. But because they've done it and you don't even realize it, you're thinking, YouTube is working. To understand this, let's run this thought experiment. You go to YouTube, turn into what is called as the incognito mode. So YouTube, if you click your button on the right hand corner and go to incognito mode, it'll then show you videos that are not personalized. And you see the experience. The experience is so much different. It's simply it feels unusable because all these videos are random. You have to search for something. You might still get something when you search, but just the top feed of your news feed or the Google YouTube feed is horrible. So it tells you how much personalization is important, whether it is your Facebook or it's YouTube or Instagram or LinkedIn, and keep naming all the kinds of consumer products you use every day. You see that it is because of personalization that you're able to get to the content or the things that you're experiencing so quickly. Otherwise, it is horribly time consuming. So personalization is a way to cut short the search process. Search process is difficult. We are inundated with plethora of content every day. So of that, if it's personalized, somebody is saying that, okay, this is the most important thing for Vikash, therefore that's what he should see. So personalization is a very important driver, and just because it's working, we don't realize it. And when we send those emails or letters, it feels like, okay, people will open, but the open rate on emails is ridiculous. The open rate or the number of people who click on a recommendation is ridiculously small if it is not personalized. So it's absolutely necessary in today's day of an age of information explosion and insufficient attention that we need personalization to bridge that gap.
So lots of people, Srikanth, are developing content on YouTube, and by doing it, they also end up doing something which is not very regulatorily compliant and all. So can AI or ChatGPT could be used in such a manner so that it could generate content within the cover of regulatory framework in such a manner that all the content which gets generated is personalized for a particular industry and it's also compliant. So, has anything been done currently in this regard?
It's absolutely possible. The cool thing about the new AI technologies and techniques is that you can make multiple taps or multiple calls on the APIs and keep doing various things and build something specific. For example, you can produce a piece of content and then ask AI to say, okay, now critique this content from a compliance standpoint and then fix those content issues and then generate it again. So you can have these kinds of loops of what are called as reflection or review, so that you can and in that way you can eliminate all kinds of issues and compliance gaps that may be there in the beginning. So absolutely it's possible. Does it mean that today everybody is producing it? No, because what they're doing is they're using AI in a very, in the most easy way and intuitive way possible without having enough reflective loops on it. So if you plan it properly, if you design the system properly, absolutely, it's absolutely possible to produce content that's 100% or very close to 100% in terms of its compliance to any laws.
So we are at Investigen, we are attempting to create a product where we have used SEBI regulatory framework and the advertisement code of conduct to train the bot, and we are trying to give the prompt in such a manner that whatever comes out is already compliant as per SEBI. And it's also trying to create content relevant to that person, and we are using it so that the tonality of the messaging is done as per the behavior profile of the customer. So we have started seeing
fantastic.
the benefit
Absolutely, it's fantastic. I would say that first, in terms of prompted with all the guardrails already in place, and then also use AI to reflect and review and critique. And if you do a couple of cycles of that, you'll get really good product out. Not just one cycle of prompting it well, that also does most of the job, but you reflect and plan it, you can see that the content gets even better and more relevant and fewer errors happen.
Shrikant, one of the problems that our industry face in terms of identifying a good performing product or a good performing scheme, and when it comes to good performing, it doesn't mean that it's good performing today. But when you invest today, after say 1 year down the line, it should continue performing good. So currently what the wealth managers do, they look at the past performance, and whichever fund has been doing better in the past, they assume that they will continue doing better in the future also. Most of the time it doesn't happen. And while they do it, they disclaim also that past performance may not be sustained in the future, but there is no way they can look into the future. And with AI coming up at such a fast pace and evolving at such a fast pace, do you think it will be possible to identify schemes based on past performance and certain feature creation which could be done, so that we could take out schemes which are going to perform better in the future, most likely to be performing better in the future? What's your take on that?
So let me frame this as a decision problem. The decision problem is, I need to pick, of all the schemes out there, I need to pick a few schemes that are likely to outperform the other schemes. And that's my decision.
Right.
And what is the information I have? I have past performance of the schemes and some other fund characteristics and other market information and so on. Using all this information, I need to decide, my problem is to down select from all the funds the best performing funds. I have to sort them into the top funds. That's my decision. And the assumption is that if I sort them, then I'll be significantly better off in terms of investing in them and therefore getting extra returns. Now, this is when you set up a problem like this as an optimization problem, as an AI problem, as a decision problem, you are looking at all the information and seeing, is there additional signal that is beyond the past performance? Past performance is one indication, which is actually a good indication, because past performance already captures the fact that maybe the fund manager is great, or she or he and their team has very good analytics or analysis skills or equity research skills and things like that. So these are getting captured and they will continue to help you in future. But there may be other stuff. In general, when you have a ton of data and you want to make a decision problem, data can help you get additional signal on the data. Now, depending on the nature of the problem, the signal may be good or maybe not be, maybe very strong or not very strong. So I don't first hand know whether you will have extremely strong signal that gives you additional value beyond just shortlisting or down selecting based on past performance. My sense is that it will be, but how much it will be, I have to check based on the data itself. But in general, what you will see is that AI will help you find that signal in that entire noise and give you the additional flexibility to go and invest. And you just need a slight edge. See, when you're thinking of AI models, we're not thinking of perfection or 100% accuracy. In general, if you pick 10 funds and you pick the top 5 funds, 50% chance that you will be wrong in picking the top 5.
Right.
That's just math, right? But if you do it the right way using AI, what if you were 70% right instead of 50? That's a massive advantage. You don't have to be 100% right. Most of the game is played between 50 and 55 and 55 and 60. If you hit 60 in stock selection, if you on scheme selection, anything, you are absolutely on top of the world. And if you're random, you're at 50. So the game is being played from 50 to 60. And just to go back to the tennis analogy, this is something that Roger Federer said after he retired. Do you know what is his accuracy? How many points he won against competition? How many do you think he won? He won so many awards. He's the most celebrated tennis player in the world. You know what's his win rate on a single point?
What's it?
It's 0.54. 54%.
Okay.
So he is 54. When he plays against opposition, that opposition is 46% chance of winning that point, any single point. He's just slightly better than 50.
Slightly better, yeah.
But being 54 consistently means that he's world champion. And the greatest tennis players of all time haven't been able to get to 55. It's 54 is like the threshold. So the same thing applies in stocks. If you are slightly better than randomness, you are at the top of the world. And just to give you an example, not just in scheme selection, stock selection also. Look at somebody like Renaissance Technologies. Renaissance Technologies, celebrated a hedge fund. They started with a 220 model many 40, 50 years ago, 2% and 20% of profits. And their fund was so good because they were using math and algorithms to make investment decisions that they went from 220 at some point to 555. They were charging 5% of the fund, of the amount, and 55% of the profits, and still people are putting in money. And then they decided at some point of time a few years ago that, you know what, I've got enough money, I don't want to take anybody else's money. They stopped taking anybody else's money. So you can imagine, if you bring in math, you get from 50 to 60, you absolutely will conquer the world in terms of investment returns.
Wow. So that additional 4%, 5% AI could bring in very easily if we get that additional feature engineering done, which could give you an indicative future return of that particular fund.
It's not easy. It is possible, but that's why you need really solid data scientists to work with you to create that. It is a solvable problem, but it's not easy. And trust me, if it was that easy, it would have been done a million times over. It's not that common. So you need very sophisticated AI to take you from 50 to 55 in this kind of a setup.
So again, moving into the other section of AI, the generative AI or large language model, there are lots of hype around this and lots of discussions going on. What is your take on the level, whether it's equally adequately positioned or it's overhyped or it's underhyped? What's your take on that?
Generally, there's a mix of both underhyping and overhyping. With all things technology, it's usually more disappointing in the short term than you expected, and it is extraordinarily better than you would expected in the long term. So in the very short term, we tend to overestimate the capabilities, and we underestimate in the long term. This has been true for technology throughout. So take a 1 or 2 year view, it may be underwhelming compared to what you expected, but if you take a 5-year view, it would be overwhelming compared to what you expected in terms of technology progress. I generally feel that AI is underhyped because whenever amazing AI comes through, we just look at the problems it cannot solve and keep complaining about it. Of course, it's important for researchers to go and figure those out, and they are doing it. The thing what we have to do is to see where it is working well and turbocharge its application. If all AI progress stopped today, if say we just took all the greatest AI researchers of the planet and sent them to Mars for the next 20 years, even if they went away, there's still at least 10 years of AI that organizations, enterprises, financial services funds, financial services companies, funds should be able to deploy and make massive use of. So we don't need even better AI. Today's AI, if implemented well for the next 5 to 10 years, can give us incredible returns. So it's underhyped.
And in the short term, it could be an overhyped as well, according to you.
Sometimes it is, in the sense that people overpromise something. For example, there are people who came and said, give me a 20-second or 30-second video of any person, and I will tell you if he or she, what's their personality. I'll give you personality segmentation like the MBTI personality segmentation. I'll tell you whether they'll be a good hire for you or not, how will they perform. This is junk science, right? It's just nobody can look at a 20-second video and figure out how they will do in a job. But people have made those kinds of promises in selling AI. So these kinds of charlatans and hoodlums will be there for any technology. They'll come and promise something, then sell it to you, and it turns out that it doesn't work as well. And that's one. Second is that there's always a case for responsible AI. AI might work, but you have to have guardrails. It works in this context, but if you go outside of it, it may not work. So where does it work? Where does it not work? Is it biased? Is it transparent? Is it ethical? These things make a difference. So sometimes when the AI evangelists come and sell this to you, they're not fully capturing this complexity of where it works, how it works, and what are the guardrails, what are the AI ethical boundaries, and they're just selling you the dream because it's a very complex message, right? We put all of this together. Simple messages sell. So I'll come and say, hey, AI really works, just try it. That's a much simpler message. So that's why you see it overhyped in some situations like these where somebody's trying to sell you something.
Okay, great. There is often a fear that AI would replace humans. So what do you think about the role of human evolving alongside AI in client relationship management?
AI is getting more powerful and it is augmenting humans in every way. What happens when we are augmented? Let's say I take 10 hours to do a certain job. Let's say write a annual report, chairman's remarks for an annual report. It would have taken me 3 days to write it. But instead, if I use AI, I might be able to write it in 3 hours. So if you take a lot of these kinds of tasks and see that productivity comes in because of which I'm able to get these things done much faster, it means that if I needed 100 units of labor to do a certain job, I only need 50 units of labor to do that now. So that means that 50 units of labor get freed up. And if you multiply this to the size of the economy, it means that suddenly we don't need as many people as before. So jobs will be lost in the process. Not because AI is taking somebody's job, it's because people are getting more productive, therefore they're able to do much more than before, therefore there's need for people has come down. How does that get filled up? It gets filled up because we have more jobs opening up, more sectors opening up, new kinds of jobs opening up which didn't exist before. And human imagination is so amazing that we will always think of something next big thing. We'll come up with ideas, things which didn't exist before. So it's not possible to fully know what jobs get opened up, but suffice to say that human ingenuity and human imagination will always lead to better and better outcomes. So that's really how I see the job loss question. Yes, jobs will be lost, but jobs will also be gained, jobs will be created. There will be some transition risks. It's going to be painful when that happens, but it is something that has already left the station. This train has left the station. There's only one way to solve this, which is to go further along and make sure that we have the right kinds of ways in which we're taking care of people. Like I keep saying, it's not about protecting jobs, it's about protecting people. So focus on protecting people, reskilling people, helping them get other kinds of jobs, rather than to hold on to jobs that were frankly not very good in the first place. Think of 100 years ago, we used to have lamp lighters, people whose only job was to go light lamps in the evening, right? People used to stand in bowling alleys. Little kids used to stand in bowling alleys and put the pins back after you use the ball. Little 5-year-old, 10-year-old kids doing that. Now, we are not unhappy that these jobs have gone away. Today, there are so many dangerous jobs like in mining and other places. If AI comes in and even replaces this human labor, it's actually good for the world because it really creates fewer deaths and fewer accidents and so on. And it leads to human progress. It's just that we protect these humans from the harms of AI, which also in terms of, when they lose a job, we need a way in which they can be reskilled and they can get new jobs.
And one angle could be that if your 50% of work is being outsourced to AI and somebody else is doing, you have got 50% of more time and you can devote it to certain things which you have not been doing earlier. It's very important for your business.
Absolutely.
So I think even in the case of customer relationship management in our business, to say the mundane work is being done by AI going forward. So the 50% work which was eating up your entire bandwidth, if that's getting freed up, those work would be devoted to the customer satisfaction improvement. So I think from that perspective also, AI is not an enemy of ours. It's actually augmenting our bandwidth improvement.
Absolutely, because think of relationship managers. Relationship managers are spending a ton of time doing research, figuring out what to say, what let's say I'm selling a bunch of funds, I have 1,000 funds to sell. I need to make sure the right funds based on your profile. I have to have a personalized conversation with you. So relationship managers spending a lot of time in thinking and personalizing. If this time could be, augmented, automated in such a way that I know exactly what to say, then I can focus on you as my customer and build a better relationship with technology supporting me. So this AI will support me in being a better version of myself and therefore being more effective with you, my customer. So relationship management, what is relationship management? The crux of relationship management is better understanding of the customer and building more trust and knowing what they need next. Right? That is what and technology can help us, and we bring the human element of that connection and warmth and the trust building. That's a beautiful combination.
So from your story perspective, you started Fractal as a startup and then built it up to become the India's first AI unicorn. So any message or any learning that you have had which you wanted to share with us, certain do's and don'ts that you think an entrepreneur should be cognizant of in this journey of entrepreneurship?
See, first thing I'll say, clarify is that I don't have any get rich quick schemes, or I don't have any advice to anybody who wants to become a unicorn in the next 3 years. I simply don't, because I think the only way I have discovered through building Fractal over the last 25 years is the slow way of building a unicorn, which is to focus on the really long term. I have seen that if you focus on your customers or your clients, if you focus on your people, the people you're bringing into the organization, and you build amazing, cool, amazing stuff, innovate, right? You're all the cutting edge of innovation. You create that culture which is long-term oriented. You can build a great company over time. I know that recipe, which is get amazing talent, create a culture of trust inside the organization, focus on your customers and your clients, and innovate. And you do that, compound it over time. It's like if any investor comes and says, I'll double your money in 3 months, you know that.
Right, yeah.
It's
a Ponzi scheme. Yeah.
It's a Ponzi scheme, right? So it's all compounding. Right? You just have to compound at a slightly higher rate than other people. If the industry is compounding at 5 and you're compounding at 10, in 10 to 15 years, you will be 10x of that, of compounding at 5. That's the magic of compounding. And same is true for companies. That magic of compounding works. It's about focusing on clients, it's focusing on people, focusing on innovation, and building a culture where you can really build something for the long term and keep improving, keep compounding.
Wow. So as entrepreneurs and leaders, what's your advice to people to stay grounded and don't get carried away by the hype of AI, and also ensure that your team and your strategies are balanced and future proof?
Firstly, I would say that AI is not overhyped, it's possibly underhyped, and it is one of the most important forces that's shaping our world today. Therefore, don't ignore it. Make it an ally. Don't make it your master. Don't build too much dependence on it. But you leveraging AI in like a tool or an ally into everything that you do is very important. number one. Number two is that think of concrete decisions inside your organization. Like think of, you're not using AI for AI's sake. Work backwards from decisions. What decisions are you trying to improve? Who are the users who are going to make those decisions? And therefore, what data do you need? What algorithms do you need to build to improve that? Do not put the cart before the horse. Do not bring AI before users or decisions. Do not bring data before decisions. Data, AI, technology, they're all a means to an end. Focus on users, focus on decisions, and you know that there is juice, there is alpha to be made. And that's when you go back and say, okay, how can I use data? How can I use algorithms to actually deliver that alpha? That's the best way to stay grounded rather than get carried away by the hype.
So, Shrikant, you have often spoken about managing mental health and managing the stress for an entrepreneur, stay grounded, be consistent in your business. From this perspective, and since the AI is moving at such a fast pace, how do entrepreneurs manage their stress level and stay grounded, and also ensure that teams are also grounded and stable?
Entrepreneurship is a hard journey. There may be, many entrepreneurs, when they start, they believe that they are the exception, right? I will, build this amazing company in 2 short years or 3 short years and make a fortune. It doesn't work like that for most of them. 50% of businesses shut down in 2 years. 98% businesses shut down in 10 years. So entrepreneurship fundamentally is hard. And when you're doing something like that, you have a full ecosystem. No one really believes you or trusts you. As a relatively newly minted entrepreneur, you will see that you have to convince a whole lot of people that you really have a right to exist, right? And whether it's your spouse or your children, or it's your landlord or your clients or your employees, everyone is thinking, I don't know whether he really has the juice. How long will he continue? Can I trust him? So you have to build that trust and create a system where everyone starts to believe in you. So that's a hard journey that every entrepreneur has to do and has to build themselves. So 1 in 2 entrepreneurs ends up being in a state of depression or state of being in a really tough mental state in the journey of entrepreneurship. How do you solve for that? So first of all, there is no silver bullet. But generally speaking, having friends, allies, everyone work with you. Many entrepreneurs just go into a shell and feel like I'm doing this thing and I'll emerge from this cave once everything is fine. Until then, let me avoid contact with everybody because they're a little embarrassed about talking to anybody because they're asking, how well is it working? And I don't want to tell you how well it's not working. Therefore, let me just hide somewhere in the corner. No, don't do that. Just socialize, work with everybody else, bring everybody on board to your dream. Like just tell everyone this is what I'm doing, whether it's working, not working, just be open about it, have a chat with them and make them believe in you and make them work with you because it helps you in reducing the stress levels and spreading this within your network of people who all will become supportive to you. It's like you have to spread your roots and these roots have to give you this kind of strength that the tree can grow. And so that's what you want. You want connections around you. All your friends, your family members, your investors, clients, everyone that you've worked with before, somehow make them part of this journey. I think that's one of the best ways in which you can reduce your stress levels. Second is, it's okay. Realize that there is a very high failure rate and realize that this journey is long. There's no need to prove yourself tomorrow. Just give yourself the luxury of time to fail, to learn. I'm not saying slow down or don't do things because speed is important. You have to be fast in adopting change. But cut yourself some slack, show some self-compassion. If things don't work out, don't necessarily criticize yourself. Oh, I screwed up. Yeah, it's not. Just be kind to yourself. Very, very important that you're kind to yourself in this journey. And then when you surround yourself with amazing people, when you hire, I would say just do not hire mediocre talent. Hire the best talent you can hire at any point of time and keep upgrading the talent. Because what it does is it just reduces your stress levels because you have a competent team. You don't want one more stress, which is to manage not so competent people. Have those kinds of team members around you, which will really strengthen you and help you in success. And above all, be client centric, right? You take care of clients, you take care of people, money will take care of itself. Success will take care of itself. Do not focus on the success. Do not focus on that end metric of revenue growth or profitability growth or EBITDA, whatever. Focus on clients, focus on people, focus on doing amazing stuff for them, solve their problems. Results will take care of themselves.
Okay. So I've been going through lots of your interviews and your podcast. You draw inspiration from very diverse set of people. One Jeff Bezos and the other being Swami Vivekanand. So how do you mingle one from the philosophy to humanity to a technology like AI? How does these two come together to contribute towards making a AI unicorn like Fractal Analytics?
I love reading, and I've been focused on getting better as a human being, and I've always believed that reading or understanding other people's journeys is a very important way in which you can learn and get better. So I read between 50 and 100 books a year, and in the process, whatever inspires me, I try to implement that. So what I liked about Jeff Bezos, going back almost 20 years, even before Jeff Bezos was such a big success, was about his focus on the long term. Right? Do not do something. He said, look, every company can think of long term as 3 years or maybe even 5 years, but very few companies think of long term as 7 years and are willing to back their conviction for that long. Not that you don't recognize failure, but when you have conviction on something, you have to bet for the long term because some of these results take longer to deliver. So that long term orientation is something I learned from Jeff Bezos. Customer service or client first orientation is something I also learned from Jeff Bezos, which is that do what's best for the client even if it's not best for you, because if you do that consistently, it'll work for you in the long term, which again I think I've found helpful. And because I'm fundamentally feel like it is about building a business or building a life is about actually using this process to get better as a human being and move spiritually forward. I have relied on people such as Swami Vivekananda or doing Vipassana meditation, as I feel like it fundamentally helps me center myself, stay humble, and then spiritually make some progress.
No. So you read people from all different diverse sects and then try to extract whatever you could implement in your very, very technically advanced industry like AI, generative and discriminative AI.
I have a wide palette of reading. If I know someone and I know them well and they've recommended a book to me, I will 100% read it. I will absolutely always read a book recommended by a trusted friend. That's one. Second, I trust Amazon recommendations. So because I read books, I get new recommendations.
Amazon has started understanding you much better than anybody
exactly.
else.
So I look at the ratings, I look at reviews, I read them. And then, authors that I already love, I read them too. So this creates a network of books, and it's a joy of life to discover a great new book, because I feel like for $20 or $10, they're putting so much into that book. If you can just pick one good thing from that book and implement, you could be better. Of course, you don't have the time to read every book in the world. No one has the time to read every book in the world. So you have to be choiceful. But within that set of choices, I feel like book is an incredible investment of time.
So we are coming to the end of this session. So I wanted to understand from you and take your advice on if somebody is joining in our industry as an entrepreneur in wealth management, what would be your advice to him in terms of adopting AI and continuing to be future ready?
Given this industry is all about cognitive repetitive processes, investment in general, financial services, but think of investment, it's all information processing, it's cognitive and repetitive. There's relationship management and there is information processing. That's all that is there, I feel, in this. I may be oversimplifying it.
Yeah.
In such an industry, absolutely embrace AI in all aspects of information processing, like end to end. And in relationship management, augmenting relationship managers. That's the best way to sort of, as an entrepreneur, embrace AI and build a great business.
Thank you for this session, Shrikant. So we have built Investigen AI, and our mission is to do democratization of AI for the client, help them grow faster, serve better, and remain future ready in this process. So this discussion with you has been very, very helpful, and your encouragement at this stage of our life where we have just set up a new company would be very, very helpful. So thank you very much for this.
I know you're building an amazing business, and I've seen you in action even before this. And I know that you have this strong entrepreneurial initiative and this creativity around how you do problem solving. So I have no doubt that you'll build something incredible and a great business. So all the best to you, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Shrikant.
Thank you.
This was Shrikant Velamakani, the Group Chief Executive Officer of Fractal Analytics and Vice Chairman. He is also the Vice Chairman of NASSCOM. He has built the first AI unicorn in India, and he is one of the most respected entrepreneur in the Indian AI landscape. He is a global leader and sought after speaker in the entrepreneurial conferences.